Because the only time that you're really happy is at the time that you're doing it. Not when the film comes out, when you're preparing for the film, but at the moment you're doing the take on the floor. And when you do it, and that moment comes out of you, and you've done it, and you remember that, that's why Blake keeps his outtakes, you see. That's the time when the achievement, the full feeling of achievement comes out.
Sometimes a performer is so talented, you don't know where the man begins and the character ends. They are equally skilled on radio, film, and television. Be it skillfully delivering punchlines.
We do not and cannot accept the principle that incompetence justifies dismissal. That is victimization. That's right.
Physical humor.
We must find that woman.
Or voices.
There's not many people know that. Do you know?
What's that?
This is my Michael Caine impression.
Peter Sellers was an enigma. Known for his brilliance on screen and his demons once the camera stopped rolling. But this video isn't so much a biography. Rather a celebration of Britain's greatest ever comedy actor. And arguably the greatest comedy actor, period. So let's take a closer look. Sellers is known for his amazing ability to impersonate and mimic accents and voices.
Let me see, Humphrey Bogart. And now, ladies and gentlemen, my next will be Humphrey Bogart.
It's really swell to be here today and to have the...
As a young man during the Second World War, he joined the Royal Air Force, but due to his poor eyesight, he was grounded, thus giving him the opportunity to work as an entertainer around the military bases, which included impersonating senior officers.
We were walking along this jetty, and coming towards us was an officer. So we saluted, and as we saluted, I thought, wait a minute. And it was Peter. Of course, that's an offence to be pretending you're an officer. So he was told then to get back and out of the way. But he loved it. And I think that is a perfect example, if I may say, he didn't really ever like himself as himself, because he was only happy when he was playing somebody else.
Lieutenant Hargreaves? Lieutenant, I have called you here because we are in a very, very grave position.
Yes, sir.
It can be argued that this is where he got his ideas for Dr. Strangelove. But that would be years later. First, he had to catch a break. He was building his skills on the UK theatre circuit and gained confidence in his impression skills. Frustrated with his lack of progress, he took a shot in the dark and phoned the BBC, pretending to be a producer, and recommended himself for a job.
But I've got nothing to lose. I thought, well, I'll phone up. So I were doing these impersonations, and one of the big shows on the air was Much Binding in the Marsh, with Kenneth Horne and Dickie Murdoch.
Right.
And I just thought I'd do it. You know, you do things at certain times in your life. You've got to get ahead. You've got to get ahead. You know, you've got to run. So I thought, if I stay here, I'm dead. You know, even if he kicks my ass out of there, it doesn't matter as long as I make some impression.
Right.
So I phoned up, and I thought, being a senior producer, Spear would probably know Horne and Murdoch, you see, who were very big then. And I thought, if I click with the secretary, I'll get through, right? So I said, hello, this is Ken Horne. There's Roy there. Now, once she said, oh, yes, she is Kenneth, I knew I was right. So, got on there. Roy said, hello, Ken, how are you? He said, I said, listen, Roy, I'm phoning up because I know that new show you've got on, Showtime or something. Dickie and I were at a cabaret the other night, saw an amazing young fellow called Peter, what was his name? He said Peter Sellers. Sellers. Anyway, I think it'd be very good if you probably had him in the show, you know, or something like that. Just a little tip. We just go around looking, you know. He said, well, that's very nice of you, you know. And then it came to the crunch, and I said, it's me. He said, what? I said, it's me, Peter Sellers talking, and it's the only way I could get to you. And would you give me a date on your show? And he said, you cheeky young sod, he said. He said, what do you do? I said, well, obviously do impersonations.
The risk paid off, and he would soon be part of a British radio phenomenon. The Goon Show was the premier radio comedy show of the 1950s. Created by Spike Milligan and co-starring Harry Seacombe, it was full of offbeat, surreal, character and catchphrase-based satire.
About busy, I never had such a morning. Oh, hello? Eaglefoot splat muscle here. I'll never sleep.
Listen, Pinhead, this is Cartledge McGillen here. How did I get that $5,000 in 1 hour? It's curtains for you.
Oh, Eccles.
You?
If I don't get $4,000 within the hour, I'm going to get killed.
Oh, what's the time now?
2 o'clock.
Oh, don't worry, boss. I'll ring Jake. Oh, hello, Jake. Oh, can you fix a funeral for 3 o'clock?
Milligan and Seacombe played between 8 and 10 characters, whereas Sellers played around 20. He was truly in his element, where he could improvise and lose himself in all the crazy characters, and despite his later film success, he said he was never happier.
Remember when we first met up, we had this thing inside us, we wanted to express ourselves in a sort of surrealistic form. We thought in cartoons, we thought in blackouts, we thought in sketches, we thought of mad characters, we thought of take a situation and instead of letting it end normally, let it end the other way, twist it around, you know.
Radio show success eventually led to film success, with his breakthrough role in I'm All Right, Jack, earning him a BAFTA in 1960. Watch how he's almost unrecognizable, with his aged appearance, accent, stance, and subtle mannerisms.
And in permitting him to drive one of them trucks, I would say the management is willfully jeopardizing the safety of its employees.
A year later, he was cast in The Millionaires as an Indian doctor. Of course, such casting would never take place nowadays, but his performance is never cartoonish or over the top. For someone who spent several years in India, he built a character based on his real-life observations, just as he did playing a working-class Cockney.
Doctor? Hello.
She's not my patient. Get dressed, please.
You're rude and insufferable, but you inspire confidence as a doctor. Examine me thoroughly.
Madam, if I examined all the ladies in whom I inspire confidence, I should be exhausted within 1 week.
Oh, then reserve yourself exclusively for me.
I have to reserve myself for the poor and useful people. Now, will you kindly get dressed?
Sellers would soon join the A-list after being cast in the classic comedy Dr. Strangelove, giving him the chance to take on multiple roles, much like his idol, Alec Guinness, and Kind Hearts and Coronets. Sellers' 3 performances showcased the full extent of his comedic talent, with each character requiring a different persona and demeanor. President Muffley was a bland intellectual.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Mandrake was a calm, upper-class Englishman.
No, I'm perfectly serious, operator. The President, yes, the President of the United States. Oh, I'm sorry, I haven't got enough change. Could you make this a collect call, operator?
And Dr. Strangelove was a wheelchair-bound maniac.
With a spirit of bold curiosity for the adventure ahead.
As he explained in an interview with Playboy in 1962, I start with the voice. I find out how the character sounds. It's through the way he speaks that I find out the rest about him. After the voice comes the looks of the man. I do a lot of drawings of the character I play. Then I get together with the makeup man and we sort of transfer my drawings onto my face. After that, I establish how the character walks. Very important, the walk. And then, suddenly, something strange happens. The person takes over. The man you play begins to exist. The film was a smash, often regarded as one of the greatest movies of all time, and earned Sellers his first Oscar nomination. But his greatest role was yet to come. The Pink Panther was intended as a vehicle for its headline star, David Niven. But Peter Sellers completely stole the show in his supporting role, and for many, had the most entertaining scenes in the movie.
In that case, you have my permission.
In addition to voices, Sellers had now also mastered the art of physical comedy. It was he who came up with the outfit, the accent, the mannerisms. He knew that the comedy would come from the character taking himself seriously, no matter how foolish he is.
It was a character that Peter assembled from real elements. He looked at a matchbox which had Captain Webb, the first Englishman, I think, to have swum the channel, with a large moustache that made him look very dignified, and Peter said dignity is the keynote of this character. Peter had bought himself a new trench coat at Burberry's. He decided he'd wear that. And then he put a little Robin Hood hat on his head that he picked out of the costume trunk. And he became Inspector Clouseau with a French accent.
Why should anybody want me to go to Brunico? Dad. I'm so sorry. I was trying to kiss your foot.
No, it's all right, my dear.
Let me kiss your
No,
face.
it's all right.
He was perhaps the first comedic method actor. Or, as Betty Davis described him, he isn't an actor, he's a chameleon. Often shy and awkward in real life, he learned to mask this by immersing himself into a role, creating new voices and accents, rather than use his own.
You know, I just love all your wild characters, Peter. But, you know, backstage here, you can just relax and be yourself.
But that, you see, my dear Kermit, would be altogether impossible. I could never be myself.
Never yourself?
No. You see, there is no me. I do not exist.
I beg your pardon. Yes?
There used to be a me, but I had it surgically removed.
This insecurity is typified by his appearance on The Michael Parkinson Show in 1974, where the day before, he threatened to back out. Unless he was allowed to enter dressed as a character. And well, this is what he did.
Set up this Church of Centenary. With all them stamps, what is the plaques and cups and knives and forks, with his Churchill face on them. Churchill with his brandy and his cigars, and his painting and his rotten painting. Hitler, there was a painter for you. Could paint an entire apartment, 2 coats, 1 afternoon.
When watching his old interviews, he comes across as reserved, almost reluctant. As if he's a blank canvas who only comes to life when he gets to put on a mask and play a fictional character. Although his film choices were sometimes hit and miss, his talent was never in question. And he has left us with some of cinema's most iconic roles. In addition to his BAFTA and Golden Globe wins, he was nominated for 3 Academy Awards. And my favorite achievement of his, he was the first ever man on the cover of Playboy magazine. His legacy can be felt to this day. With the likes of John Cleese, Sacha Baron Cohen, Eddie Murphy, Rowan Atkinson, Mike Myers, Will Ferrell, Robin Williams, and Jim Carrey all being influenced by him. His sense of humor even carried on after his passing, as in his will, he requested the Glenn Miller song, In the Mood, be played at his funeral, because he knew his friends hated it. He may have had the last laugh, but he left us all laughing.
Do you feel at all, Peter, that you've ever reached your full potential in movies?
I don't know, you see, because I hate everything I do so much that I always think, well, I'm got to go one better before I die, because, I mean, you know, I'm remembered by all that lot. So I always think that there's something left in me. I mean, I know there is. I know there's something sort of in here somewhere that I want to get out.